Hey guys, I know what you guys have been thinking. Man, it's been like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks since you guys have put out an episode, and I'm here to tell you guys that we apologize that we took a little bit of a break there, but one of the big ministries that I myself, Dustin here, am involved in is camp ministry. And so that's in the summers. I'm going wild and crazy doing camp work and all that kind of stuff. And we're actually going to have an interview here where me and Lindsay, my wife, are going to interview each other. We're going to talk about just our work in camp ministry. And so, but I just wanted to pop in right here and say we are going to be back at it, hopefully through the rest of the summer. There won't be very many interruptions. And we're going to fire off here with this awesome episode that Caleb has recorded for some Hillbilly Hermeneutics of us on Philippians 4:13. And so, guys, buckle in, take a listen, and see what you guys think about this Hillbilly Hermeneutics here with Caleb.
Hello, everybody. I thought I would try my hand at one of these Hillbilly Hermeneutics. Now, just to remind everybody, hermeneutics is the theory and philosophy of understanding, interpreting, focusing on how the meaning is derived from different forms of expression. So we look at different texts in the Bible, different verses, and a hermeneutical approach is digging into that text and trying to gain a better understanding of what it means. So today I'm going to be talking about Philippians 4:13. Now, this is a Bible verse that is very popular, especially in the sports world. I remember when I was in high school, on my football helmet, I had a sticker that said Philippians 4:13. Now, so where I've typically most often seen it is in that situation where, you know, an athlete is putting that on their helmet or somewhere like that, or say Tim Tebow putting it on his eye black or things like that. So, you know, things like that. It's very popular in that world, but we're going to kind of dig into it and see why. That's just scratching the surface of the actual meaning of this verse. So again, real quick, Philippians 4:13 is, "For I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Now, if you look at some different verses, such as, or the different translations, such as the ESV, it says, "I can do all things through him who strengthens me." Or the NIV says, "I can do all this through him who gives me strength." Now, him being Christ. So, digging into this text a little bit now, kind of an overall what's going on here. So, this is Paul writing to the church in Philippi. Now, Paul started this church, and if you want to read about that story, it's in Acts 16. Now, there's a lot in Acts chapter 16. It's a really cool story. Where Paul is in jail, and he actually there's a lot that goes on there. So go read Acts 16. It's a cool story, but part about something about Philippi. It was a Roman colony. Christians, they suffered a lot of resistance and persecution there because of it being a Roman colony and Christianity not being very popular there. But of course, Paul, the people there, they remained faithful, of course, to Jesus. So Paul sent this letter while he was in prison for announcing, of course, that Jesus is the risen Lord and talking about and spreading the gospel. So a person named, I'm going to get this name wrong, Epaphroditus, came with gifts from the church in Philippi to bring to Paul. And Paul wrote this letter and sent it back with him to the church there. So, you know, one thing he said, like in Philippians chapter 1, verse 21, he says, "For to me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better." So, Paul, you know, you got to think about what Paul was going through. He was imprisoned for preaching the gospel, and he's writing, you know, things like that. And then also, you know, just before, like, if we back up just a little bit to chapter 4, verses 11, he says, "I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know that it is to be in, know what it is, I messed that up. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want." So when Paul writes this, if he's not about to throw a touchdown pass or try to hit a home run, what's happening is he's being persecuted, he's imprisoned for living the Christian lifestyle, spreading the gospel. And he has learned that no matter what situation, he turns to God and gives it all over to God and puts his trust in God. And that's a good lesson that we can all take from this. No matter what the situation we're going through, whether it's depression, you're fighting, different things like that, no matter what's going on, you can turn to God. And I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, because essentially that's where our strength comes from, is God and Christ. So, it says, when Paul says, I can do all things, he's not talking about that limitless potential in that sense of, okay, I can win games or achieve some type of worldly success. It's that ability to endure in all circumstances, hardships, abundance, no matter what the situation. Christ is the one who gives him strength. Now, as far as like linguistics, now of course y'all know at this point that I did not study Greek, don't know Greek, so I looked up a little bit of this, and I'm probably going to get some of it wrong. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm getting it right. If I'm getting it wrong, Dustin can tell me and help me out, but hopefully I did the research and I got it right. But so the Greek word ishkuo, translated I can do, so the first part, I can do, means to have strength or to be able. So I am able. If you look up the interlinear, so like the straight Greek translation, it says, for all things I have strength in the one strengthening me. So, that part, to have strength or to be able, it is not about the personal triumph or ambition. It's about that spiritual resilience. So no matter what's going on, I maintain that spiritual resilience throughout. The next part, through him who strengthens me, this is used something called, in Greek, called a participle. And this word I'm going to butcher, but it's endinamunti. I think that's right. Endinamunti, which emphasizes ongoing empowerment. So that, I think, if I remember right, the Greek present participle is something we don't necessarily have in the English language, but it's like this ongoing. So when it says endinamunti, that's emphasizing that ongoing empowerment. So it's not like he strengthened me. He is continuously strengthening me throughout, and he's always with me, and he's continuously helping me and being a part of my life. And, so that's a cool thing. But Christ continually strengthens Paul as he continually strengthens each and every one of us. So, this verse, it's a profound testimony to the sufficiency of what Christ does for each and every one of us. It tells us that Christ is the source of Paul's strength, not Paul's own grit. It's nothing Paul's doing to get him through these situations, which he was in prison multiple times, he was shipwrecked, he went through a lot of things. And it wasn't his own strength, it was the strength Christ was giving him. The strength given is for contentment and faithfulness, not self-centered goals. And that's something to think about when we've had worldly success or achievements. We need to make sure we're continuing to think about, okay, this isn't me doing this is God doing this. This is God blessing me through these situations. So it invites believers to trust in Christ's sustaining power in every circumstances, especially when we're suffering or something like that. So some practical applications for this. Philippians 4:13 is often misapplied, and like I said earlier, it's often, like in my mind, I mostly see it as, okay, it's a sticker on my football helmet. If I'm getting ready to, let's say you're getting ready to run a race, or you're going up to bat and you think, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that's the only time it comes up in a person's life, or they think about it. Well, this what we just talked about is like, okay, you can use this in every situation in your life. So, it's often misapplied as a motivational slogan, but when rightly understood, it can offer a deep encouragement for anyone enduring hardship. It says that you can endure suffering, you can endure loneliness or uncertainty or depression, because Christ will empower you. Christ will get you through those situations. You don't need perfect circumstances to at peace. Okay? You don't need everything to be going great in life to be at peace. All you need is Christ. All you need is Jesus. So, strength from Jesus is not flashy or triumphal. It's often quiet, steady, faithful. Okay, he's in prison, but he's continuing to live out that faithful life. So in conclusion, Philippians 4:13 is not about doing whatever you dream of. It's about being content and faithful in all things because of Christ's presence and power. It is a declaration of dependence, not independence, a statement of humility and not pride. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to this. That's the end of my hermeneutical approach on Philippians 4:13. I would like to say, if you haven't, please like and subscribe to our podcast. It would really help us out. And also, if you're interested, we do have a Patreon where you can go and pay, I think it's $7 a month, and you get some extra content that we put out. Also, we will send some money to missionaries at different times. So please check us out in the links below. And thank you very much. God bless.